Hello, and welcome back to biology. Today we want to continue talking about fitness, but in this case we're going to talk about how do you communicate your fitness to the other individuals of your species, because fitness, remember, is passing on your genes to the next generation, and those who are successful at that are fit. Those who are the most successful are the fittest. And remember, you don't have to be the fittest to pass on your genes, you just have to be fit enough. So having said that, looking at this question, this is your first question, which statement describes the swallow with the greatest evolutionary fitness? Now, this is a question that you've had before when we were talking about evolution and natural selection and all of those things, and reproduction. So, you have a swallow that's 3, that has 4 offspring, 2 survive. You have a swallow that's 5, who has 5 offspring, 1 a year, 1 survives. You have a swallow that is 2, has 4 offspring, all survive. You have a swallow that's 7, right, has 3 offspring, all survive. And then, of course, your choice is all equally fit, because maybe they are. I mean, some of them live a long time, some have a lot of babies. The answer is C, okay, because it has the most offspring that survive to reproduce, even though it is the youngest of them, right, when it dies. It's got the most surviving healthy viable babies, who do reproduce too. So C is the answer. Fitness is about your legacy, essentially, if you want to think about it that way. Okay, so we've talked about different kinds of communication. Today we're going to talk about visual communication. And lots of animals communicate visually. You can see that most animals actually that we deal with have eyes, right? These have arisen independently in multiple groups, and they are highly successful because visual communication is incredibly effective. Now, the downside is it's effective over short distances, but it's got some pluses, okay? Oh, the other downside is it doesn't really work well at night, but we'll talk about that later. Now, you have to be able to see it. So if there's something in your way, if you're in a thick forest or something like that, it's really probably not going to work out. And that's where auditory communication is more successful, because the sound can actually get through some of that dense brush, whereas visual is going to be blocked, right? And so you have to be in a direct line of sight. So fairly short distances, direct line of sight, but it's almost instantaneous. I mean, you're going to get that signal immediately, and visual communication can convey some fairly complex information, right? So you've got 2 types. You've got active and you've got passive. Active is when you're actually doing something to convey a message, right? It's a movement or a posture. In this case of the picture here, you can see that that person is holding up their hand in a stay command, right? And the dog is staying where it is. The dog has learned that movement, when it sees that, it means I'm going to stay right here if you have a well-behaved dog. Now, this is a threat display. Now, the dog learned, and we learned about learning behavior earlier. The owl is doing something instinctual. It doesn't have to learn this. It does it automatically. It feels threatened. It makes itself huge. This display says, I'm bigger than you. Don't attack me. It's not going to go well for you. Now, here, we can also see things in terms of facial expressions. Lots of mammals have expressive faces, or they do something with their faces that conveys something. And I don't actually speak zebra, so I'm not entirely sure what this is. Perhaps some of you do know. But when we look at primates are the masters of facial expressions. And we can imagine what this gorilla and this orangutan mother, both of them, we can imagine quite well, we think, what they're thinking, because those are facial expressions that we might make. And you can see, of course, we can think what she is thinking, because that is an expression that we probably have made ourselves. But the fact is that women actually turn out to be much more perceptive about facial expressions than men, typically. Women are like face-reading machines, and oftentimes it gets us into trouble because we misinterpret the facial expression, and so we think that something else is going on. So you do have to be careful of that. But facial expressions, very important, convey emotional information, right? Now, passive signals, this is just going to be what the animal looks like. And so this frog right here is sending a very important message that says, I'm poisonous, okay? These guys, the males actually are sending a message that says, I'm brightly colored, I'm fit. And that is true with the mandrill as well. Look at that big nose, and of course the rear end here, and of course the big teeth don't hurt. So in this picture, you actually have this great active and passive visual display, because you've got the passive of the nose and the cheeks, but then when it opens its mouth, an active movement, it shows you its big ol' honkin' teeth, right? So yay. Now, okay, oh, by the way, this is a female, and this signal is that she's ready to mate, right? She's fertile. She's ovulating. It's time to make babies, whereas this is the male, okay? All right, now, on that, you've got an active-passive display combo here with the peacock, bird of paradise. They're showing you these brightly colored feathers, and they're moving as well, right? The bird of paradise has a fun little dance. The anoles, right, that we have here. This is not actually the one we have here. We have the cute bright green ones that are tiny. They have that dew flap, right, in that lovely strawberry color, and they will actually flap it, right, in and out. So they'll extend it and contract it, and extend it and contract it. So active and passive usually come together, okay? Now, in the case of these guys, they do have some passive display, but birds really, and some other animals too, but birds are the masters of this, use ritualized displays, okay? Most of the time that's going to be for courtship. If you screw up the dance, then you are not fit, right? And so that visual display is entirely, mostly active. And that was true for the peacock and well, not the peacock, but the birds of paradise. Now, your eye placement really matters. And there are two kind of things that you get depending on where your eyes are. You've got monocular vision, which means that you see really kind of two-dimensionally. You're seeing out of one eye at a time. And then you've got binocular, right, which means that both eyes are working together, which gives you some really big advantages. And you can kind of tell where an animal is on the food chain based on where its eyes are. When the eyes are on the side of the head, right, the lateral placement, they have this great ability to see 180, almost, or actually 180 degrees, right? This is really helpful if you're trying to see if someone's trying to eat you. You can see in all directions. This would be less helpful if you want to target an individual. To target an individual, you're going to need binocular vision, okay? And this is where the eyes are forward facing, and it gives you depth perception. That is the key here. Monocular, you've got a wider range of vision, but for binocular vision, you have depth perception, and each of those positions on the food chain requires different visual capabilities, okay? Now, here's your next question. What about seeing in color versus not seeing in color? Some animals see in color, some don't. Animals that only see in black and white, which is also called shades of gray, have only what in their eyes? Well, they probably don't have chemoreceptors or mechanoreceptors in their eyes, right? Because that would be weird. They have photoreceptors, and those come in two types, rods and cones. Rods see light and dark, and cones see color. Okay, so if you can only see gray, you do not have cones, you only have rods. Okay, so sensing electromagnetic radiation. Light is electromagnetic radiation. It is a tiny little sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum, and it is what we see. Now, some animals can see in ultraviolet. A lot of birds can. Some, like snakes for instance, can do infrared, okay, and so there's all kinds of wider ranges or narrower ranges depending. But those cells, the rods and the cones, are photoreceptors, okay, and so you can have really complex, right, where you have intense color vision. Large birds of prey actually even have polarized lenses, so for those of you that have polarizing sunglasses, that cuts the glare. Their eyes do that automatically, okay? And then some of them are really simple, just sensing light and dark. Invertebrates with photoreceptors, oftentimes it's like, is something over me or is it not, right? Oh, it's darker, something's bad, you know? Amphibians don't have a lot of great resolution to what they're looking at, yeah? And so, you know, that varies is where I'm going with that. Okay, so your next question, a lot of people, or some, not a lot, but some people are colorblind, right? And red-green colorblindness is the most common, yeah? So why does that happen? And what of these statements, what are which of these statements are true. It occurs more frequently in males, it's a genetic abnormality, is caused by a lack of some cone cells, or all of these. Well, if you are colorblind, you are probably male, right? Not always. There are some colorblind females, red-green colorblind females, but mostly they're males. It is a genetic abnormality because if it wasn't, you would have the appropriate cone cells. In this case, you're missing the cone cells, right? You can't distinguish red and green because you don't have the cone cells to do that. Okay, now, what about night? Lots of animals who see very well are nocturnal, and we know that all of these bright colors really are not helpful at night because you can't see them well. And so what happens in these cases, is that you have some special adaptations. When you look at this cat right here, this is photoshopped, but it's a nice picture close up. But here's an actual picture of the same kind of structure, and then of course here's the house cat who has the same kind of structure, and then these guys are little nocturnal primates. They have huge eyes. So eye size is the first thing that you can see. Lots of nocturnal animals have ginormous eyes, right? And that's so they can let in as much light as possible. These guys, right, the cats, have what's called a tapetum lucidum, and the tapetum lucidum is a reflective surface in the back of the eye, and so it allows the light to essentially amplify in the eye, and so they see almost as well as day, right, at night, because they are taking full advantage of this light. Now, there's one more thing that happens to anybody who is looking at stuff at night, and there's a part of the eye that will adjust to let in more or less light. Which is that? The oval window, the pupil, the iris, the optic nerve, the lens. That's not a thing. Is it the pupil? Well, no, actually. The pupil is the hole in the eye where the light goes through. The lens is what actually focuses it, but the iris is, and the optic nerve receives it. The iris is like a shutter, okay? So here you have the pupil, and that really is a hole. Behind that you have a lens, and this is, look at that, double convex, yay, remember physics. Your object is seen, right, through the lens, and this lens focuses it and flips it, because remember that's what these double convex lenses do. And so what happens is the optic nerve in the back receives an upside down or inverted image of the object, and then your brain interprets it and puts it right way up, right side up. But the iris here, when it's very bright, it's going to close so not a lot of light gets in, because that can cause damage. But when at night, you want as much light as possible, so they're going to widen right out so they can get all that they can, right? And that's where that tapetum lucidum comes in handy. It's on the back surface here of the retina, and it's reflecting light in here to magnify it. Okay, that is it for vision. We're going to do a little bit more with visual acuity and testing your vision when we get into class. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.